Alright, so first things first, huge improvement on all the rhythm. Huge improvement. So, very, very good. The only thing to really point out on some of the earlier bends, it sounded like you were doing more of a half step instead of the full step. So be careful of that when you're working on these new ones. But other than that, it sounds really good. Let's see. I would check that G string though. I think all that bending might be pushing it out of tune. I don't know if it's because of your guitar or what, but like when you're doing the strumming part, I mean, you got the rhythm on that sounding good, but yeah, that G string is getting a little funky there, so I don't know if there's anything you can do about that. Alright, so we got 4 new bend riffs and 4 new rhythms and a whole new subdivision for our beats. So we're going to be dividing the beat into 4 parts instead of the 2. So you are done with 8th note counts. We are moving to 16ths. Okay, so some of these bends you have 5 notes per bar, which is going to make the timing kind of funky, but still the basic thing happens where you're going to make every note the same length. So you can just follow the metronome, so every click you're playing a note, and that'll work fine. So, and these first 3 are just kind of like variations of what you just did, and just like small changes that just add a different variety of sound. So here we go. First one. I'll try these a little bit faster. Alright, the next one is a little more challenging. Faster attempt. Actually, I added a pick that didn't belong. Let's do that again. There we go. Alright, now the really tough one. Let me slow that down. Count. My head is elsewhere. Part of it's because there's a kid running in the hall here. Anyway, here we go. Now let's try and speed this one up. Okay, now this next one, I need to do some explaining. So, you see you have 2 notes stacked on top of each other, so that means you're going to be playing the 7 and the 8 at the same time. The note on the B string you're going to hold with your pinky. You're going to be doing the bends with 3 fingers again. So ring finger on the 7, middle and first finger behind that. So you're going to pick both strings, only bend the G string, bend it up a whole step. So the sound you want is this after you've hit that bend. Now notice how you have that horizontal line going across and then the arrow curving back down. So that line going across, that means you're going to hold the bend up for the duration of how long the horizontal line goes. So what you're going to do is pick both strings, keep it up, and then you see 7 and 8 written again 4 times, so you pick those strings again. You're already holding 7 and 8, so you just 1, 2, 3, 4, and you have the bend release, and that's it. So pick both, 1, 2, 3, 4, release. And that's the pattern for every bar. Just pay attention to the whole steps and half steps. First 3 bends are whole steps, next 2 bends are half steps, and then we have this bend at the end where you're going to bar the 5 and 5 on the E and B string, bend the G string up a whole step. So you're basically strumming a chord, bending that note up there. So here's the whole thing. Alright, now a little bit faster. Of course, it sounds very country with the clean channel on. Distortion sounds a lot more like southern rock. Okay, moving on to the rhythm. So as I mentioned, 16th notes instead of 8ths, so you're going to have 4 parts per beat. So hopefully you can see my exaggerated tap here. So you're going to have a down, up, every time you tap. You want to make it even. Count is going to be 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a... So I would practice that before you move on to strumming these chord progressions. So when you do start to play these, we notice the tab looks a little different. So what I do when 16th notes come into play, just to save some writing time, because sometimes there's going to be just a ridiculous amount of numbers now that we're basically doubling up how many times we can strum. So when there's a new chord introduced, I tab the chord in full. After that, I just write the root note and then a little rhythm slash above it. So you're still playing the full chord. So if you look at that first example, you're still playing the A5 the entire time. You're not just going to one note. It's just that rhythm slash kind of fills in the space, so you see it goes across the whole time. So hopefully that makes sense. And hopefully you can follow it along okay. Most people can. So hopefully you're one of them. If I have to write in the numbers, if for whatever reason it's too confusing, that's fine. That's no big deal. But, alright, so let's get to it. So after you get comfortable with going 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a... Here we go with progression number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1E and a 2E and a 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 3, 4. final progression. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. Alright. Last thing to bring up is the last metronome drill you're working on. If you have any numbers to share, please do. I'd like to know how that's going. So hopefully we can meet on Skype next week, but if not, I suppose we can keep doing it this way. Seems to be going alright. So again, huge improvement on the rhythm for all the bends and that one progression. Just try and just make sure all your bends are coming up a whole step, not a half. And one thing I was thinking, maybe something sounded like a half step to me because the G string went down a little bit. So I don't know. Hopefully that's something that can be fixed. I'm not sure. Well, anyway, any questions about this new material before next week, please let me know. But I will plan on seeing you online Saturday.